You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey, music fans, welcome back to Modern Musicology. My name is Alan, and in the room with me is Stephanie Seymour.
Hey, I just had to do a long hey too, because you did.
And Rob Levy.
Hey, hello everyone.
This week we're going to be talking about this year's list of nominations for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But before we get into all of that, we've got a little bit of listener feedback to get to. And this is an email that came in from Bill Lamond. And again, about our halftime episode. That thing just continues to get people writing in about it, which is great. We really appreciate it. Bill sent 3 pretty lengthy emails. So, Bill, I'm very sorry that we can't get all of that you wrote into the show. But I did want to get a little bit of it here. Bill says, I love your halftime episode. It just occurred to me to ask if Lady Gaga also sang in Spanish. One thing that's always been great for me about Feliz Navidad leading up to Christmas is that it's a taste of Spanish, and even that song includes an English translation. I suspect that the other singers sang in English. Did they? No, they didn't. Lady Gaga was the only English speaker in that halftime show. So everything else was in Spanish, and I thought that was a really interesting choice. So he also says, Anthony, I love your testimony about the shallow thinking that goes into anti-immigrant attitudes. And he says, thanks for a great show. Now I'm going to start watching Puppy Bowl. Thanks for the reminder. I'm so happy it's not behind a paywall. Well, Bill, thank you so much for writing in. We really appreciate it. And if anybody else wants to contact us, we would love to get your out during our show. You can email us at modernmusicology1@gmail, or you can just find us on our socials and leave a comment. Okay, it is that time of year where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announces its nominees for induction for 2026. And this year it came a little late, and I do not know the reason why. Usually the nomination committee meets in January, and the nominations are announced the week following the Super Bowl. And this year it was delayed, and it was like delayed until March. But then in late February, they just announced, like, it came out of nowhere. So I'm not really sure what the story is behind that, but we're going to be going through the list of nominees, and we're going to be giving our feedback on this thing. So to get us started, I want to rattle off the list of names that we have, starting with Billie Eilish, starting with Billy Idol, INXS, Iron Maiden, Jeff Buckley, Joy Division and New Order, Lauryn Hill, Luther Vandross, Mariah Carey, Melissa Etheridge, New Order, God damn it, New Edition, Oasis, Pink. You wouldn't think that I'm actually reading a list that I'm doing from memory because I'm making so many mistakes. Phil Collins, Sade, Shakira, the Black Crowes, and the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yes.
So first question for you is, what do you think of this list? When this list came out, what was your immediate impression?
My immediate impression was I was a little underwhelmed, because I usually am underwhelmed with their lists lately. But, it's funny, the more I look at this list and go over the people, I feel a little better about, and I have some real solid picks that I would want to get in. So that's what I think.
Yeah. Rob?
Mostly mediocre, but the other side of the scale of that is pretty solid. Like, these guys definitely deserve to get in. So it's both sides of the teeter totter, right? There's no in between.
What about
Yeah.
you, Alan? How did
Well,
you?
I remember like the last couple of years feeling kind of
Yeah.
not excited about the list when it first came out. And that was my reaction this time too. Part of that is that you've got a couple of names on the list that have been nominated a few times. And you're like, can we just either drop them or get them in?
Who are those people?
Well, Iron Maiden is one.
Okay.
They've been nominated.
so.
This is the third or fourth time now. Joy Division and New Order has been nominated a couple of times before now. And neither one of them has ever had enough votes to even come close to get them.
Mhm.
So what we're talking about here is the main category, which is the performer category. And that's the list of names that is announced at this time of year. So when the voting on this, once this list comes out, it goes out to a voting body. It's made up of about 1,200 people. Once that gets done, then we also will have whatever list of names from this list that they that they induct. But then we also get the specialty categories, which are musical influence, musical excellence, and non-performer. We'll get the names for those, which those don't go out to the main voting body. Those are done by committee.
Yeah.
So we'll find out what those are at that same time. And that's going to round out the full picture of what this year's induction is going to look like. But for this voting or for this nomination class, there's some new names on here, but like Sade has been nominated a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm like, we need new names on this list.
Yeah.
Right. And some of these carryovers, are kind of like, taking up a slot from somebody else who could get nominated.
Yeah. Yeah. I know for sure who I've got like 5 or 6 that I would say for sure I'd want in there.
Yeah. Okay.
But
well, let's start with that. What are your picks?
Okay. Well, should I go into depth with them or should I just?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I won't, I don't have much to say about everyone, but okay. First of all, the person that I think that you'd be most shocked that I would want to be in
Mariah.
there. Yeah. It's Mariah Carey.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if anybody knows me, I totally have I'm definitely like biased against Mariah, but only for like reasons of that she's a pain in the ass, whatever, but and caused me a lot of stress when I was working her glitter insanity. But I mean, to me, she's like possibly one of the most favorites of mine on this list to be in the Rock and Roll Hall. I mean, she's got an insanely unique voice. I mean, she basically created, if not created, she made the norm to use like that melismatic style of singing, which is that, singing a syllable while moving through like a bunch of notes in rapid succession kind of on that note. I mean, that style, that wasn't big before Mariah really. So that became, like a whole format almost for like R&B and pop vocals. So I say Mariah.
Okay.
I also say Melissa Etheridge because I know I'm biased, but I worked her first 2 albums and she's been continuously prolific from the start, right? From like 88 to now. Mm-hmm. She's always got good material and she definitely paved a way for a lot of singers, songwriters. So I say Melissa, say Sade solely for that song By Your Side. If that's the only thing she ever did, I think she should be inducted. But I mean, she's totally unique, got a voice like nobody else. Mm-hmm. I love her. I think she's wonderful. Luther, I think, is a given. Also, I'm a little biased. I did work his record, I know, but he's
picking all the people that you've worked
right. He has been, his career was insane. I mean, from the 60s to, when he passed away in 2005. And then I would also say Wu-Tang because they were just so influential, the Wu-Tang Clan. I'd also say, by the way, Jeff Buckley, because, again, sort of no one like him. I know he only had 1 record, but wow, that was some record. So I would say Jeff.
Okay. Rob, do you have a list?
I have a list, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's just do that then, and then I'll share mine.
So yes, on Iron Maiden. Just, for metal acts, a lot of it is longevity, but it's also legacy. And I think that they have a huge legacy that really is pretty solid all the way through in terms of impact. Joy Division and New Order, because honestly, all of these Manchester bands, even the indie sleaze bands, you know, stuff like Nation of Language, even it's electronic and stuff, none of these bands are around without a Joy Division or a New Order. Luther Vandross, slam dunk, you know,
Yeah.
because not only was he nominated for Grammys like clockwork for every year,
I know.
but the amount of songs that he wrote, but also he sang on like everything. Right.
Totally.
I mean, literally, he sang on everything. And so
And he was on Sesame Street. I forgot to add that. So
yeah,
his band.
I, like you, would put Melissa Etheridge in as well. Just the crossover appeal. And, you know, in the same way that Bonnie Raitt has sort of that kind of crossover appeal, right? Similar sort of style of audiences. And I would put Sade in also based on not only longevity, but just the influence as well.
Influence. Yeah.
If you could put someone in for style and grace alone, I'd put her in. And I think I'd put Oasis in.
Okay.
I'm not completely sold on that yet, but I think if there's other bands that are in right now that are less deserving than they are, so I would put them in, mainly too because they've influenced all these bands after them now.
Yeah, I could get with them being in. Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many bands now that sound like Oasis in so many ways, and they open so many doors for other people, but also just the immensity of them. I think that tour, that last tour, really cemented a lot of the case for them in terms of being a draw and a global thing. So yeah, those are mine.
Nice.
And probably Wu-Tang.
Yeah. I kind of feel like Wu-Tang is a straight shot in, just because they are basically the only hip hop thing on the list this year.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that's going to get included.
Also,
but we'll see.
I would love to see their perform just for what the performance alone on that. It would be great.
Yeah. So my list goes INXS, and for a couple of different reasons. One, most everything that's in the Rock Hall for the last 40 years is American and British. There isn't a lot of representation anywhere else on the globe. And there are so many great Australian bands that haven't been acknowledged in any way. And I'm not sure that INXS is the best Australian band ever, but they're the first one that I know of that's ever been nominated. And I feel like that needs to, plus I really do love INXS.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I feel like that might be a step toward getting acts from other countries into this thing. So I'm all for that. Iron Maiden, because they are instrumental in that second wave of British metal, because we had that original wave, which was basically Zeppelin and Sabbath and Deep Purple and bands like that. And then in the late-ish 80s, that second wave of British metal that comes in, and Iron Maiden are not only like on the front end of that thing, but are still together, still touring, still recording new music, still hugely successful. And there are a lot of metal bands that will not have happened in the last 40 years if it weren't for Maiden. Jeff Buckley, you know, this is a toss-up for me, because who knows where his career could have gone had he not died accidentally while recording his second album. But that first album, Grace, is incredible. It is a remarkable record.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of hurt by the fact that he wasn't really like a chart success artist. He wasn't like a radio play artist. And the only song that most people know of his is a cover. But if you listen to Grace, that is a phenomenal record.
Oh my God, it's beyond.
And to wonder where he could have gone. So in saying this, I bet you he will not be included in he won't get voted in. what'll happen is either this year or at some point, he's going to get slid in either as musical influence or musical excellence.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be, I don't think the voting body really, nobody knows Jeff Buckley that well, except for those hardcore music people.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
So Joy Division and New Order, because as Rob was saying, they are instrumental they were on that front end of that whole wave of like electronic and new wave kind of thing. And they paved the way. They were so unique, and they paved the way for a whole new style of music coming in. And I think that they are, again, maybe not as well known. New Order, I would say, is more well known than under the name Joy Division.
Mm-hmm.
But if without Joy Division, there are so many acts that you would not have.
Mm-hmm.
So I say definitely, but I'll bet you they're going to be in the same boat as Jeff Buckley. At some point, they're going to get slid in on that side category, and they're, but that's okay as long as they get in at some point. I would say I would probably vote for Oasis, because the voting committee is, I think, supposed to pick 7 things.
I was wondering how many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think to make my 7, I would include Oasis, just because they are an important band and they're really high profile right now. I think right now is the best chance that they would ever have of getting in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would vote for him, but and in fact, when I've done the fan vote on the website, I don't think I've ever picked him, but I feel 100% that Phil Collins is going in this year. This is his first year nominated as a solo artist, and I feel like he's just a shoe-in. I feel like he's just right there.
I didn't even put him on my list just because I figured somehow, some way I'll put him in.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, he's deserving also. But I, not the biggest fan, but I don't see that as a bad choice or something, or non-deserving choice.
Right. I don't like Phil Collins at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like him, but I feel like his solo career has been hugely successful and important. And I just feel like he has enough popularity that whoever the 1,200 voters are, he's going to be on the list. I just feel like it.
I think so too.
Yeah, loses points for Buster and Sussudio, but outside of that, you could argue that his singles are.
Isn't that funny?
Solid.
Because Sussudio is so catchy and it's so bad, but I love it.
Yeah, I am
just
I'm not a fan, and I don't like what the direction Genesis went when it was basically him driving the bus. I just
right. A lot of people just were like turned off by that. Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to go pop, especially when you're talking about the early 80s, and prog really doesn't have a foothold anywhere in the industry. And a lot of those bands are trying to figure out how to survive. You see it go that way with Yes and other bands. And you're like, you have to do something to stay relevant. But I just feel like they went so far to the pop side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I am with you with INXS. I completely understand your arguments. My thinking is, I didn't know if I had room for them this year. But I think that if they don't get in this year, they're going to get in next year or eventually.
Yeah. It could be.
But I think too that the thing that INXS has going for them is that first chunk of records up until maybe Listen Like Thieves, from everything up through Listen Like Thieves, is like a really great sort of indie solid record.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we grew up listening to those and like, okay, but then their progression from an indie band to like a chart topping band.
Yeah. To like YouTube status,
I was going to use that as the easiest comparison. You know, it is seen more as a progression musically than it's seen as a sellout.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is a craft to it in terms of the songwriting and, just the fact that they have like the horns and how they use horns and stuff. I mean, they have a lot going for them. And my hope is that they get in, Midnight Oil gets in, for example.
See, that's where I was thinking.
Yeah.
Midnight Oil, I feel like, but see, that's the thing. Their relevance is not global. You know what I mean? INXS INXS is known everywhere. Midnight Oil had a couple of records, but nobody outside of Australia really knows how important that band was.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what? They're kind of landlocked.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I would
And I
love
mean, I
to
would
see
even
them get
say
in.
like, I know they're from New Zealand, but Split Ends and Crowded House. Like I think they're like just the most deserving of anyone over there, you know? And but again, they're not Split. Who knows Split Ends except for like, you know, if you're over there, or if you're like us, maybe, who was in that whole, you know, early MTV scene and just happened to be like, hey, those weirdos are great, you know?
Well, I think you could do a Split Ends Crowded House the same way you're doing New Order.
Maybe. Yeah, you could. And Crowded House for sure had more of a appeal worldwide, but I still don't think like big enough. I don't know, not big enough as INXS.
Well, the thing, no, they have not as big as INXS, but you know, the thing is about Crowded House is that 10, 15 years after those records, people are still talking about them.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Records like Chocolate Cake, for example, are getting totally reevaluated as being much better than we always thought they were. So they may not be next year, they might be the year after, but I can certainly see an argument for putting them in.
I would for sure, yeah. But yeah, I just fear that's never going to happen, and then we're going to have like the Black Crows here. You know, why are to me this is like that is like why are they on this list? I like them. I think they're great. They're an awesome rock band, but like what? I mean, can just anyone get into the rock and roll? I guess they can. I mean,
they're like Fish was last year for me. Like,
right.
I'm just like, I appreciate it. I know they've got a global thing, but like, you know, just because bands have a lot of weed doesn't mean we arbitrarily have to put one in every year.
Oh, God.
I mean, they're like, really, they are such a great band, but like, there's nothing. That's just how I felt about Billy Idol too. It's like, I like Billy Idol more than probably almost anyone on this list. I love his songs and stuff, but he's totally not. There's not any reason why he should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's no reason. Why wouldn't the Sex Pistols be in before him? You know, not that they were as popular, maybe, but that like, what is Billy Idol got over like Susie and the Banshees, over like whatever? I don't know. I just.
Generation X, you could say, is like a good punk band or an interesting punk band, but not like, oh my God, they're gonna knock me upside the stick, right?
I
you know, and that first Billy Idol record, you know, with White Wedding and stuff like that. That stuff that's like, yeah, it's great, but it's nothing that moved the needle. There's nothing he made that moved the needle.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Unless the big argument I could make for Billy Idol in terms of moving a needle is his videos, because his idea, the way he used video, was different than a lot of other pop stars at the time. But this is not the Rock and Roll Hall of Video. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I just don't think. And also, his records are really great because his guitarist was really great.
Oh my God, Steve Stevens.
True.
Right.
So that is my biggest argument.
And Tommy Price is such a great drummer.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to say, though, that Sex Pistols are in. They went in 2006.
Okay. Well, I take it back.
Yeah. Which is fine. But again, Billy, I just don't see it.
No. Again, like Susie and the Banshees had as much influence, you know, as Billy Idol. I mean, well, at least in my world, maybe not in everyone's.
I mean, if you put, Susie, I mean, if the Cure's in, Susie's in, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Billy is like on the pop end of what Susie was doing.
Yeah.
The Banshees, you know, I would love to see the Banshees in at some point.
Yeah.
I think as like the on the ground floor of like that whole goth movement.
Yeah.
The Cure and the Banshees, you know, Cure's there. Let's get the Banshees in.
Is the Cult in by any chance?
No.
See, that's another like Southern Death Cult when they were Southern Death Cult, you know, and then then the Cult, like that might be interesting too. Anyway, I just don't know. Like,
the Damned deserve to be in more than Billy Idol.
Right.
Or the Cramps.
Cramps. Oh my God. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about influence on other bands, you have to talk about the Damned and the Cramps much more than Billy Idol.
But that's the thing, though. Billy Idol is popular.
Yeah.
People know who he is.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you just say the Cramps, 99% of people wouldn't know what that is.
Right.
So, you know, there's a little bit of the, are they important? Are they influential? Are they, you know, or did they move the needle, as you say? And then the other side is, do I know who they are?
Mhm.
And you have to balance those two things. And so there are some really important bands that are never even going to get mentioned.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're just not, musicians know them, but do the general public know them?
I mean,
Right.
I wish they would have found a way to like maybe do some research, find some guys from like, the 50s that there's still some people that are in, or
Yeah.
even more hip hop or soul artists or some world artists that I would put in before Billy
Mhm.
Idol.
Oh, yeah. There are so many.
Like, put in Hugh
From-
Masekela before.
There's so many, from 50s, 60s, 70s that,
Mhm.
that deserve a spot. That Billy Idol and, fucking Black Crows or whatever, have no place there in place of somebody else.
Well, what do you, speaking of like R&B and soul and stuff, like what do we think about Lauryn Hill, who I love, by the way, and New Edition?
I'm going
Rob's
to get
got
myself
a
in trouble if I...
Rob's
So the best thing I can say about Lauryn Hill is sometimes she shows up for her concerts.
Right.
Oh.
Can you imagine her and Morrissey touring together?
They should. But they have, they both have used the sleep argument too. But 10 of her Grammy nominations are for one record.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
she's got one solo record, right? You can't put
Okay,
out
but
another
here's
solo
Jeff
record.
Buckley with one album too, though. See,
And
right?
here's the Sex Pistols with
But-
one album.
Well, the Sex Pistols at least had a movie after it, and they had, so, the Sex Pistols kind of started a movement.
Oh,
I
I'm
would
not
argue
saying-
that
Sure.
I can't really argue that Lauryn Hill started a female in hip hop movement when there's a Queen Latifah and all these other artists around, right? So there's that.
Right.
It's the one album thing that I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
that record got played to death when I worked in a record store. I heard it every day for like 4 years. She got 2 Grammy wins for the Fugees, who
Yeah.
were, I think the Fugees were artistically much more interesting than Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say induct or at least nominate the Fugees.
Fugees, yeah, that would make sense.
Not Lauryn by herself, but let's do
yeah.
the Fugees.
And it's just, she doesn't have the cachet of a Missy Elliott,
Mhm.
She doesn't have the cachet of an MC Light. And you could argue, well, you want to put Sade in before Lauryn Hill, and I tell you that Sade has more than one record, and
Right.
it's different with Jeff Buckley because you can look at the artistic merit and say what could have been,
Yes.
and look at that and say this is somebody who would have made a prodigious catalog of music or would have made an impact. Can you do that with Lauryn Hill based on one album and the fact she's still alive? Is
Mhm.
like,
Well, that's the thing. He did not have the opportunity to do more.
Yeah.
She has had 40 years of opportunity to do more. And what's she done?
Yeah. Well, what about
Now-
New Edition? What do we think?
I don't see it at all.
there are plenty of other fantastic doo-wop and soul bands that are not in the Rock Hall that I would put in before New Edition.
Yeah,
Now-
that's exactly what I was thinking too. I mean, I
Yeah.
like them, or I don't like them so much. I appreciate them. Let's put it that way. But I don't think they are deserving, really.
See, there's a lot of these groups, whether they're important or not, that are kind of like, it's like New Edition. It could have been any 5 people because it's all in the hands of producers and songwriters. But that's the same with, in a lot of the case, the Jackson 5. That's the same with the Spinners. That's the same with the Four Tops. That's the same with the Supremes.
I mean, but you can think about like Bobby Brown, who went on to have a super solo career, right?
Yes,
and
I know.
also Belle Biv DeVoe, like
Sure.
DeVoe, so like I don't know.
I know. I just, it's the lack of, I don't know. It's the interchangeability
Consistency.
of these things. And it's the lack of really, I don't know. I'm going to get myself in trouble if I go too far on
No,
this.
I mean,
And then I'm not saying that the Supremes shouldn't be in or the Four Tops or anything like that, because they absolutely should. So if I think that, then why don't I think New Edition should? So I'm at a really like personal conflict with this.
I know, but I would put War in before I would put New Edition in, or I would put the Marvelettes in, or I don't even know if the Ink Spots are in, but the Ink Spots,
No, they're not.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like nostalgia with them, You know, they rode a nostalgia wave.
Oh, they are. I'm so sorry. They got in '89, the Ink Spots.
Oh, they did. Okay, great.
After I said that, I thought, you know what? I bet I'm wrong about that.
There's so many of these great bands from that era that
Yeah.
sort of, now that era is also plagued with bands that had one or two hits and then disappeared as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could just think of other artists I'd put in ahead, you know.
Yeah. As far as like
Toots and the Maytals, are they in?
yeah. As
I
far
think
as
Toots is in, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
as far as that whole New Jack Swing
Yeah.
movement, New Edition is definitely important.
Yeah.
But is New Jack Swing even important?
Well,
Oh,
that's
what?
the
As a
question.
movement?
That's exactly the
I
question.
don't really think it's that big of a deal.
A lot of people at the time did.
Actually, they're not. By the way, Toots is not in rock and roll. I just Googled it.
Yeah. I didn't think so. But
Interesting. They should be. Anyway.
So yeah, I'm not sold on New Edition, but I bet you they will get in.
Yeah, and we didn't mention Pink yet, and I love Pink, and I think she's got such a great voice, and she can really sing the shit out of anything. But is she rock and roll Hall of Fame material?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Circling back to New Edition, I was trying to think of the band that I was thinking of is the Clovers. If you look up, I mean, they did Love Potion #9, but you look at their legacy as a doo-wop band, and you take the Clovers and put them in the late 80s or 90s, and there you go. So that's the band I was thinking of too. But yeah, I mean, you can always play woulda, coulda, shoulda with this, which is fun. But I just, you know, if we really want this to be a rock hall and not a rock hall of average, you know,
well, that's the thing.
I will be livid if New Edition gets in and Iron Maiden doesn't.
Iron Maiden has very little chance just because the rock hall does not lean toward, there's two areas, metal and prog, that get repeatedly overlooked by the rock hall. So I just bet you that Iron Maiden will not
Did Judas
make the
Priest
vote.
get in though?
They did, but they were nominated a number of times and did not get voted in. And then they got put in the musical excellence category.
Okay.
See, there's bands like Can that could go in before New Edition. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's another example. Kraftwerk were nominated quite a few times, and they finally did get inducted in one of those side categories, not in the main category. And deservedly so, because if you're talking about a whole movement, then, you know, Kraftwerk is the most important of that movement anyway, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I was just Googling Trouble Funk. I worked them when I was at Island.
Okay.
And no, they're not in. And so I was thinking about this because, you know, they were in the whole go-go music kind of, they were at the forefront of like go-go music, like the DC scene, you know, which was such a great.
Oh, that stuff's good.
Oh, so good. Like, but is go-go music like the same thing as like New Jack Swing, where it would have like a wave for a little few years and then it's gone? Like, how influential was go-go music, or what was the influence of music on go-go music really that was more, you know, important, you know? So it's just like,
well, you could argue that go-go music evolved into other things though.
Yeah. But
well, you can say that about New Jack Swing too, I think.
Totally.
Yeah. But okay, let's look back at the first, like when by the way, this is the 40th year of the Rock Hall because it started in 86. The first class went in 86. So let's just look at the names in these early years, because you've got Chuck Berry, James Brown, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, Fats Domino, the Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly. These are all in the first year. Little Richard, Elvis. Second year, you've got people like Eddie Cochran, Aretha, Marvin Gaye, B.B. King. Is Pink really in that list?
No, they're simply running out of people, I feel like, or they're not. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
I know, but I feel like because if we remember, Chubby Checker last year just got nominated for his first time. I think there are still people that can go in. Yeah. But I mean, I just don't see Pink up in that rarefied air of that company. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know Shakira, like, again, she's fucking huge and she's great and all that, but like, no,
Yeah.
it's like, no, this, like, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame material should be, there's got to be
Yeah.
some like super cachet along
Yeah.
with, I don't know. So like a
It
lot
should.
of these people don't have it. They just don't.
I agree. I mean, it should be upper echelon.
Yeah.
Black Crows do not fit that. I'm sorry. But
Billy
they don't.
Idol.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's not that whether I like these
No,
bands or not,
exactly.
because as I've said before, I am a huge Styx fan, and Styx has a big fan movement that keeps clamoring for them to get in. Same with Boston, same with REO Speedwagon. Boston, I could maybe see going in just because not only for the innovations in music, but the innovations in technology that Brad Delp was involved in and things like that. I mean, sorry, Brad Delp. I said his name wrong because I have a best friend whose last name is Delp. Anyway, but Styx and REO, I don't think they are that top level of, and I like REO well enough and I love Styx, but I just don't know that they're, I mean, if they got nominated, if they got inducted, I would be thrilled, Foreigner. I don't think Foreigner fits in there either, but I was happy to see them get inducted and I enjoyed their performance when they, played at the ceremony and everything. And I don't begrudge them getting in at all, but I would never have voted for Foreigner.
Right. Yeah. It's just part of me with the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is like, the whole thing is just like, it's just stupid and bullshit. But then
they need to change. It suffers a name and an identity problem that they will probably at some point address, right?
No. Well, an identity problem, maybe.
Like call it the Popular Music Rock Hall of Fame, or I don't know. There's got to be some way to do it.
Yeah, because I did used to think like when they started just putting so many different genres, I'm like, this isn't rock and roll. And then of course, like as time went on, it's like I can't fight this uphill battle anymore. It's just people in pop music, so whatever.
Right.
I mean, Big Mama Thornton needs. Yeah. Hello. What took Big Mama Thornton so long?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Alan Freed, who is the man who popularized the term rock and roll in the 50s. The term had been around, but he was the one who popularized it in terms of popular music. And he said in 1959 that rock and roll is a river that all these other streams have flowed into: gospel, jazz, country, cowboy songs. All these other things have flowed into the main river of rock and roll. So the rock and roll was never intended to be. I think a lot of it comes from bands like Kiss, where Paul Stanley gets on stage and he does his "Do you believe in rock and roll?" Right. All that shtick, that has really kind of shaped rock and roll, the term, into being rock music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, okay. That's a fair point then too. Yeah.
I mean, basically Alan Freed was taking the sort of spirit of college radio in the 80s and putting it into contemporary pop radio in the 50s. He's playing anything that he thought fit together. And, when you go through his notes, if you go to the Cleveland Library, you can see his radio show notes.
Oh, wow.
And there's big giant letters on some of them. This is not race music, or don't call this race music, or,
wow.
And so he was instrumental in getting music integrated. Yeah. Because a lot of stations would not play black artists, and a lot of stations would only play a song if it was by a black artist, if a white artist had covered it.
Yeah.
And Alan Freed he was so dead against that and only ever played music by black artists alongside white artists.
Yeah.
So he was all for, and so I feel like that's the kind of like the modern idea of rock and roll, is different than, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. And when you go to the Rock Hall, one of the really interesting parts that I think needs to be expanded is they have a whole section on famous DJs, right? And there are so many DJs that really did a lot of groundbreaking work. I don't necessarily think they need a hall to be in, but they need to be sort of acknowledged, because there's a lot of people in the 40s, 50s, and 60s that are playing stuff that, like, they're getting away with an awful lot of sly stuff. And there's some of these guys that are playing country music on some of these stations that are playing a lot of stuff thrown in with country, like gospel, and eventually they're integrating it with a little more soul, that are at that time really taking chances with playing some of that stuff. So I think,
and if you talk about country, there are some artists, and I'm thinking specifically of Johnny Cash, that has a more rock and roll attitude than a lot of people in rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's the most badass dude ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that it has to be a badass to be rock and roll. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, okay. Did we ever talk about Pink? I don't.
Yeah, we did. We said this.
Okay.
Yes, we talked about Pink. But do we talk about Shakira very much? Not really, other than the fact that she's huge. She's great. But I don't feel like she's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame material.
But what Latin artist is? Something has to come in.
For sure, Gloria. Okay, Gloria
Estefan and Sound Machine. I think that Miami Sound
I
Machine.
think they're in, right?
No.
Oh, for real?
Let me double check.
Los Lobos?
No,
I should be in. And Richie Valens.
No, Miami Sound Machine is not in.
Yeah. But I think that we're kind of looking at Shakira with, it depends at the lens that you're looking at, right? If you're looking at America. What about
Selena or something like, what about?
No, not Selena. No.
Yeah. If you're looking at it through the lens of just America, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. But globally,
true.
You could argue in the same way that you would argue with Fela Kuti, right? That their international impact sort of outshines just our little corner of the world.
Yeah. No, but she's huge here too. But yeah.
Well, my knowledge of her catalog isn't really deep enough.
No.
But I feel like, though, that if she has an international stardom that rivals somebody else, then, I get it. But at the same time, Neil Sedaka's not in, and neither is Paul Anka.
That's
so
crazy.
Why are we wasting time with this?
Well, Latin artists are incredibly underrepresented.
Yes.
And you have Carlos Santana. He's in.
Yeah.
The band Santana is in. And other than that, like the next most Latin artist that they have is like literally Linda Ronstadt.
Oh my God! Is not even Ricky Martin in or something like?
No.
Oh.
No. Is Richie Valens in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you need to start looking at international audiences a little
Absolutely.
bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You could argue as much as you and I might not think that Julio Iglesias is an international globe-selling artist, but he sells a shit ton of records around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you have to look at it through that kind of a lens, then,
But again, it's also about influence and moving the needle. And is Shakira one of those people?
Again, I'd argue like Selena was one of those people, and that she had that influence on people, even though, again, she was so huge before she passed away or was killed. I'm sorry. Wasn't she murdered, Selena? Yes. So like she was huge worldwide, except really not here as much. How about like, even Jennifer Lopez, that's something like, she's massive also, or at least she was. She's more like of a celebrity now rather than, you think of her as a singer, but she's, singer, dancer, all this stuff. And
right. And
I think what's her ex-husband? What's his name?
Tommy Mottola? Or
that's Mariah's ex-husband.
Mariah. That's right. That's right.
That was great. Though.
Oh, you're talking about Ben Affleck.
No, I'm talking about her husband who is also a singer. Mark.
Mark Anthony?
Yeah, like there's just so many people that should be nominated before.
I don't know that he should be nominated, but
maybe
I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know enough about him.
Know. Maybe not, but
I don't know.
There's just like people before Shakira that should be in there before Shakira.
Yes,
I think
I agree with that, and Miami Sound Machine is one of them.
For sure, 100%. What about like Sheila E?
Yeah,
or Rufus and Shaka Khan. Both of them.
God damn.
All right. Who else is on the list that we haven't talked about yet? Well, Black
Really?
Crows we kind of
We
mentioned.
didn't
You know.
really dive deep enough into Melissa Etheridge, I don't think.
Yeah.
Who's those first two records? I think Steph, you worked the first two,
Yes,
right?
I did.
I remember little junior me walking around the college radio station, and Stephanie telling me I had to play this artist named Melissa Etheridge, and it didn't sound like anything that would really work on college radio. And boy, it really did work. And she's something, you know, and she's carved out a really strong musical legacy, right? And
Yes. And she's also, her live shows are just so amazing to be at because she gives like 150%. Like she's like,
yeah,
I remember going to see her when she had the first album, and we went to see her at the Bottom Line, and people were like, I will never forget, like we were like hanging off the rafters in that. It was like she was so, she's so full of energy, so energetic, so moving. So I think she's a great performer, great live performer.
yeah.
I would argue that, you know, people maybe like Brandi Carlile might not be around if there wasn't somebody like Melissa Etheridge to that
Or
way.
the Indigo Girls.
Or the Indigo Girl. Like,
Well,
seriously, like there's
yeah.
plenty of
Indigo
people.
Girls predate Melissa Etheridge, though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
tiny bit, not by
a
much.
tiny, yeah. Not by much. They were doing, and maybe they were both around doing indie recordings at about the same time. But I think that Indigo Girls is on my list of people who should be.
Oh, they should be 100. They're not?
Yeah.
See, this is what shocks me.
They've never been nominated.
Okay, that's bananas.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think you look at the list of people, right? Luther's a slam dunk because he's got 11 consecutive platinum records. Hello, you're in.
Hello.
And then, you know, you can make the arguments about U2 and INXS, or not about New Order and Joy Division and stuff. We talked about that. But when you look at Melissa Etheridge in that sort of scope, so outside of maybe Mariah Carey, all the other people that are nominated, she's got the strongest legacy, right?
Does.
And there's a correlation to what she did when she started versus what there is now, and it's a legacy.
Yes.
And
she's got like 17 albums or some shit, you know.
And you know, I don't remember the one year that she did, like she just went nuts at the Grammys. Like I think she won like everything this one year. People forget what a great songwriter she is too, right?
I know.
And I think if you are in the Songwriting Hall of Fame, right, like Luther Vandross is in the Songwriting Hall of Fame and the Soul Writing Hall of Fame, or Soul Hall of Fame. If you're in another thing like that fast tracks you, and I think she's in the Songwriting Hall of Fame too. But
okay, I don't know if that's.
I don't know if she is or not. But I think that her songwriting and just the way, outside of the live shows, the way that she went about the business of like, you know, no, I'm making the album I want to make and go away, and just sort of like, in terms of artist rights and artists getting to make the records they want to make, that's important.
Yeah, it is important.
So.
Yep. Well, I hope she makes it. I've been voting for her.
I was looking at the fan vote, and you can check the results of the fan vote to see how it, and you know, the fan vote doesn't really count for much at all. It's basically one collective ballot.
Yeah.
So the top 6 or 7 or whatever it is gets one vote, you know, and that's in amongst the other 1,200 people. So it doesn't really count for much. So Phil Collins has been leading the pack for ever since the fan vote opened until this past week. And the New Order fans have rallied.
Wow.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the top 7, which are the ones that get on the ballot, is in 7th place, Billy Idol. Yeah, I know. Number 6 is Sade.
Okay.
5 is INXS. 4 is Luther. And surprisingly, 3 is Pink. Number 2 is Phil Collins. He currently has 491,000 votes. And New Order has been in second place all this time and was really like pushing up to first place. And in this past week, there's been like this like avalanche of votes, and they are now in first place with 514,000 votes. So they have very strongly outpaced Phil Collins.
So I guess basically, what do we know? We're saying like 4 out of the 7 people on there are like not even people we wanted.
Yeah, that's true. So, there's a lot of people like Melissa Etheridge is way down toward the bottom. Jeff Buckley has been in last place this entire time.
Yeah, I just don't think people know who
that
he
is
is.
never going to change.
Yeah.
Joy Division and New Order are in the next to the last place, Yeah. So I was really surprised that of the sort of like soul leaning artists that are on the list, that Mariah is in 9th place. Lauryn Hill is in 10th place. If you want to count Shakira in that, which I wouldn't, she's in 11th place. And Sade is in the top 7. And that just surprises me. I don't know why, but it just does. Because Mariah is so huge, and I'm just surprised. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe people recognize the musicality of the band Sade, because they have had the same band members from day one. They're a great band. Their albums have a number of instrumentals on it, so you can hear what the band does, and the focus isn't solely on the lead singer.
Yeah.
But as I've said before on our show, they have had consistent chart success doing their own thing. Nothing else sounds like Sade.
No.
And trends come and go and fads come and go, and Sade just keeps doing their thing, and they keep having radio success with it.
Yes.
And I just think they're an amazing band. She's an amazing singer. Their music is so unique. There's nothing on the American charts. There's nothing else quite like it. And I don't know. They were nominated last year too. Maybe two times before this. I think 2 times before this. And I don't know. I don't think I would have, and I love them, but I don't think I would have initially voted for them. But I'm really coming around now. I think that absolutely,
maybe this year will be their year. Yeah.
Maybe so.
I'm shocked that Mariah's not higher. And that's just the fan vote you're saying though, right?
Just fan vote. Yeah.
I think Mariah's almost like a shoo-in for this, I feel.
I wonder though, because there have been a lot of people that I thought were shoo-ins, like Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
I thought that was a no-brainer and did not happen. And then she didn't get nominated again the next couple of years. So I don't know. I'm just hopeful, only for the fact that if Sade gets inducted, they will perform.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I really want to see them do that. Yeah. If Pink gets in, that means she'll perform, and maybe they'll have to bring her whole like Cirque du Soleil act. But it's interesting though. If Luther does get in, I wonder who's going to be the artist that does the tribute to him.
Yeah, that's going to be.
I wonder who will induct him, and I wonder
Patti
who the
LaBelle,
performer.
maybe.
I was going to say that'll be hard shoes to fill, but if Patty did it, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a thought. I hadn't thought of that.
Right. I mean, he's worked with so many artists. There's so many people that could,
I know,
fill
But they could
in.
also get somebody like Bruno Mars or The
That's
Weeknd
true.
or somebody to do it.
That's true.
Macy Gray.
That's a nice idea.
And I'll tell
Bruno
you,
Mars.
he was really close, and they did some songwriting together and recorded on each other's albums. Richard Marx, I just wonder if he might be the one that they would get to induct him.
That's interesting.
There's so many other artists that could do it though, because Luther touched so many different lives.
Many people. Yeah.
So if Phil makes it in, and I'm sure he will, he cannot perform. He's at that point in his health that I don't think he would be able to do it. I wonder who the performer will be to do that set of music.
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl.
He does everything.
Wow. Oh man.
We're going to have to see. It will be interesting.
Yep. It shouldn't be too long before we find out. I don't know. Like, I think the fan vote ends on April 2nd, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it shouldn't be too long after that we get the list of inductees announced. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and see. So do y'all have any names of people that we haven't mentioned yet that you would love to see go in at some point? I have a list.
Think of that.
Go ahead.
There's a number of artists who are in as a member of a group, and as a solo artist, there's at least one that I can think of that has never been nominated as a solo artist, and that's Diana Ross.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's crazy. Also,
how the fuck? I mean, I know, yes, she is in as one of the Supremes, but
still,
her solo career is monumental.
That's bananas, as I keep saying.
Bananas. Bananas.
Oh, God.
Yeah. For my Atlanta bands, I would love to see the Indigo Girls and B-52s, because I think both were influential, both were groundbreaking, both were important. So I'd go for that.
Yep.
Neil Sedaka.
Yeah.
Paul Anka.
There's a couple of, I don't remember what year it was. So there's a couple of times when a band, like an artist has been inducted, and then their backing band got inducted later on. And one of those is Springsteen went in, and then years later, the E Street Band went in. And of course, the E Street Band wasn't on his first couple of albums. So their eligibility might have been at a different time. But then there was 1 year where they played catch up, 2012, sorry. And in that year, they did a lot of catch up with these kind of things, where you had the Miracles, who was Smokey Robinson's group. You had the Famous Flames, which was James Brown's original backing band. The Crickets, which was Buddy Holly's band. And the Comets, which was Bill Haley's band. All of those backing bands got nominated and inducted that year. And it's almost like when they had other people like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers go in, they were like, you know what? Maybe we should have done that all along. And they just threw all these people in.
Yeah.
And then the E Street Band went in, I don't remember what year. So there's two bands like that I would love to see inducted. You won't be surprised to hear me say that I would love to see Wings get inducted.
Oh, yeah.
Which would make McCartney the second 3-timer.
Wow.
The only person who's been nominated or inducted 3 times is Clapton, as a solo artist, as a member of Cream, and as a member of the Yardbirds. And I would also love to see the Revolution.
Oh, yeah. That would be, you know what? It's funny because before I was thinking about Wendy and Lisa and thinking like,
yeah,
they are so talk about influential band.
Yeah.
I was also thinking, in the whole Billy Idol conversation I didn't mention, but X, I feel like are more influential than Billy Idol.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Sure. I can see that.
I'd love to see them indicted, although.
Indicted.
Sorry, I have someone else on the brain.
What do you
now.
have against them? Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
Sorry,
I would love to see them indicted. That's so funny. Brilliant.
I must be thinking of some other person.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point too, we're gonna have to figure out, if we're getting around a New Order and Joy Division, we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with like the Smiths.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We're gonna have to throw them right out the window.
Well,
they need to be indicted.
I know. Yeah, they need to be indicted.
To be fair, 3/4 of that band are lovely human beings.
Oh no, I think the Smiths deserve in, without a doubt.
Yeah,
but
and that's just somebody who I don't even really care for the Smiths.
Yeah.
I like their songs when I hear them on the radio, but I'm not a fan or anything, but I definitely think the Smiths deserve a place at some point. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you put Brian Ferry in as a solo artist?
Possibly.
Do you put Eno in?
I think Eno as like either musical excellence or musical influence. I think definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you put somebody like Tony Visconti in too?
Oh, yes. Well, see, there's a whole category for non-performer, and that can be journalists, that can be producers, that can be
so that should be Daniel Lanois.
Yeah, and I think Visconti definitely,
or even somebody like Steve Lillywhite, who's produced 10,000 albums.
Yes, absolutely.
We're gonna have to start thinking about the Pixies soon.
The Pixies, I think, should be in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. All right. Well,
All right.
no, anybody else?
Mm-mm.
Replacements.
The replacements.
Yeah.
I'd go with that for sure. 100%.
Cool. And the Starland vocal band. Don't forget them.
What about Montrose?
Montrose. I had never thought of that, but that is a great idea.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I don't think it ever will, because I think they were influential, but they weren't big.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at like there's a lot of these really interesting bands like Montrose and Grand Funk Railroad that are kind of like,
Oh yeah,
there are people that are worse than them in, but yeah, I would make an argument for Montrose.
I would too. Absolutely. I want to see Ronnie James Dio as a solo artist get in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll ever happen.
And I would put Steve Stevens in before I would put in
Billy Idol.
Yeah.
I also, interestingly enough, I'd think about putting The Edge in by himself as a guitarist, and I'd think about putting Enya in. I mean, if we're putting Sade in and folks like that, then the worldwide cachet on her is much bigger than the domestic cachet, right? So, yeah.
Who'd you say? Not Steve Stevens. Who was? Oh, The Edge is not a solo artist though.
No, but I mean, they're putting in guitarists and stuff.
No,
I mean, I'm all in
favor. They're putting in guitarists who had solo careers.
Yeah, but I would still put them in. I would still start putting in people that were like backbones of their band. I know this putting in a guitarist or particular drummer stuff really gets kind of picky,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
there are some that transcend the traditional role of what that role is in a band.
I tell you what, I should have thought of this earlier, but if you're going to put somebody like New Edition in, who are singers, their music is shaped by other people, they just sing the notes. If you want to put somebody in that same kind of situation, that actually did influence a whole generation of musicians, then put the fucking Monkees in.
Yes, yeah. I think they're the number one thing I would put in, without a doubt.
There's a whole story to be told about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that I feel like, even if you just put them in as the like musical influence category, because how many people watched that show as a kid and thought, I want to be in a band?
Totally.
Yeah.
Right. So and while there's at least one fucking monkey still alive,
right?
Fucking put them in, Yeah. Anyway, I'm recording a show Wednesday night with our friends who have a Monkees podcast called Monkeying Around.
Yay.
And since the Monkees are not in the Hall of Fame, they are starting, this is going to be the first year doing it, the Monkeying Around Hall of Fame, where there's like this whole like list of categories of like early influence, people who influenced the individual members of the Monkees, and people who worked with the Monkees, whether it be songwriters or producers or other musicians or whatever. So we're going to do a show Wednesday night where we're talking about, and of course I'm saying this, our episode is going to come out after that happens, but
that's
I'm just
okay.
telling
People
you
can go back and look, can listen to it.
That's a good point. Where we're going to be naming our nominations and then people can vote.
All right, monkeying around. Start talking.
Mr. Babalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina, Mr. Babalina.
About your podcast.
We talk about an Emmy-winning comedy series.
We talk about a band who outsold the Beatles and the Stones in 1967.
Still sticking to that story, huh? Well, if you know what's good for you, you'll change your tune.
We talk about a groundbreaking multimedia project
that inspired generations of artists and fans.
All right, throw the book at them.
This book is overdue.
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the Monkees.
And I should also mention that I was on TV a couple of weeks ago on one of our local news programs on talking about this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations. So
that was so exciting to see you on TV, Alan. Cool.
So I'll maybe put that link out on the
definitely.
Maybe I did. Maybe I forgot if I did or not. I don't
Put
know.
it
Anyway,
in the show notes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I guess that's going to wrap it up for us. So we are going to be back in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about something.
Yeah.
No idea what. We've said that a lot lately.
Lately we have.
Let me see if I can figure out if we do have something lined up.
There's so many things going on too with the world of music that's fluctuating in terms of not music being made, ticket sales, AI, songwriting. There's a lot of stuff going on. That the landscape's changing. So we want to stay sort of at the forefront of these discussions. But again, we don't really know which of them we want to do. And,
Do you want me to see if I can get my friend on to talk about AI?
Yeah. I mean, I won't be here this week, but next time, but my AI friend, Claude will be performing as me. So yeah.
No, I don't want to do it if you're not going to be here.
I'm kidding. I have an AI me that's going to be doing this. Never mind. Forget it.
But you are going to be here, right?
Yes. There's going to be AI staff and AI me. But yes.
Dear God, don't confuse me. I am easily duped by these things. All right. So hopefully we'll have a discussion about AI in the arts in 2 weeks. I'm going to work on lining that up. And if we do, but that's going to be a good discussion. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited about that. All right, everybody take care. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great couple of weeks and keep rocking on.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Word to your mother.
Oh, dear.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.